And I won the best gown competition, and I won the swimsuit competition, but I did not win the overall competition because my tree fell. I fainted because it was very hot, and the costume is what carried most of the points. So I did not win the competition, but overall I had a good time. But some people were saying that they should have given me the first because normally if you cut a tree, it will fall. So that should have been part of the depiction for me.
So it's not Derek. So it's not Derek alone. Is the comedian in the family?
No, but a lot of people were saying, for Betsy's Hope, people was upset because, hey, I'm from Betsy's Hope and the tree fell, so they should have given me the first because remember, I won the best gown. I had the best swimsuit. So, and the tree fell. So normally trees will fall. So, yeah, but all in all, it was good. Roxborough, I went in the one in Roxborough also, and I placed first in that African competition. So, yeah.
Wow, this is so informative and ready for prime time because people now behaving as if everything is circulated around them, and we don't have a pass in villages like Betsy's Hope. So you could tell them that even Roxborough wasn't even in Best Village.
No. We represented Trinidad in Best Village maybe 2 or 3 times. And we didn't come first, but we placed very well. Because those days you'll have like 30-something villages between Trinidad and Tobago. And we will come up in all 15, 16. So that was good.
Yes.
And we will go evening after evening and we'll practice our hearts out and have a good time. It was a time for our community to get together also. That's what we used to look forward to after school. We'll go home, get something, and we get ready for practice because we will sing. And even the elders used to partake too. The elders used to mostly do much of the singing. And there was a dance that only the oldest elders could have done. What's the name of that dance? Where they used to...
So
only the old elders, they will allow to do that because it was a kind of...
It was a communication with through dancing.
Body, with man and woman, so they didn't want the young girls into it.
It have to be a man and a woman, so when you turn, you go into them, Zemna tukna plat. Zemna tukna plat, and you put your... So it was a kind of seductive dance, but was only for the elders.
Oh, it was a sexy dance.
Yes. So, but we used to have fun looking at them. It was really nice, and they did it so graceful. I mean, like my father, he used to dance. Miss Olga, a lot of the elder ones used to dance, participate in that dance.
Rude dance.
Yes, it was a rude dance.
That dance need to be revived, so all people wouldn't feel like they're dying, and they will participate in things that will keep them alive and active.
I was looking at Facebook, going through Facebook, and I saw it in Africa. I can't remember what part of Africa, but I saw it and I'm like, oh, I remember Daddy and they used to do this dance. Of course, it's a different song, but it's the same. The thing is, the dancing is the same.
Management is saying Angola.
Oh, okay.
Angola does that dance.
I saw it. Yeah.
It's like a 3 steps. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, and very seductive.
Mother Lystra. Yes, Mother Lystra.
Yes, I could add, Lindy, but I'm going to start about my schooling.
The dance is called Zizomba.
Okay.
All right, well, they should really revive it and give it its real name, so that we know that we were part of that legacy with for parents or elders, and, bring it to life again so the young people will not lose that part of history that belongs to them,
I invited a man of culture. He's also a spiritual Baptist, and he belongs to Mother Jack Church in Pembroke, but he didn't respond for today because he's the guy that is awarded, and that's his job in Tobago in culture, and he does all the arrangement for dances and stuff for not best village now. What they call it again? Heritage and stuff. Brother Jesse Thomas, but he didn't come on the screen. So Cynthia Alman is saying, are you related to the Chapman in Bonaccord? Yes, we are.
Yes, we are.
Just that the young people doesn't know that the CHAPMAN and the TROTMAN, we are all one, because we have a young one of us that her name changed from Wright to Chapman. And when I asked her mother, how is that? She said, girl, Lystra was there too. By the time me know things in done gone far.
But I remember hearing a story that the Chapman and the Trotman were related.
Brothers.
They're brothers, yeah. But something with the spelling of the name, something I don't know.
No,
but
they wanted to separate. They didn't want them to know each other. So there was 3 brothers. One stayed Trinidad, 2 came Tobago.
Yeah.
The one in Tobago, they changed their names so they wouldn't find each other. Because you know, in the slavery days, they believe in separation and stuff like that. That's another show. But that's another show. I'm telling you, you guys are invited back.
Okay.
Invited back. So here your sister there, Kathy Chapman.
Yeah.
And she's listening, but hey, it is what it is.
It is what it is. Yes, so I'm going to...
You will tell us about your growing up in Betsy's home. The time is running away on us, but no stress. We promise to have part 2. We have to have a part 2 because some of the things that you guys have to answer about Betsy's Hope. If anybody else from Betsy's Hope want to join on the live, they can. But no one else say yes. They thought that every live would be the same. But this live here is to show people that our heritage that we keeping in Tobago, some of it is false, some of it need to be researched, some of it need to get into the people who live in the village and get it quick before the older heads with the knowledge pass away. And because you, Lystra and Lindy, you were part of the village cultural scheme, you guys are able to speak to us today. Yeah? So Chaplain Lystra Wright, a woman that born with a name, preach. A woman that born with a name, her name is Lystra. Tell them your name.
My name is Lystra Evangelist Wright. And, you know, there's a great significance behind that name. Because when I first learned my middle name was Evangelist, I asked my mother, why you give a young girl like me that name? Why couldn't be something like Evelyn or Eloise? You know, something different. Why Evangelist? So I only put the E, but I never told nobody what the E stands for because I didn't like it. One time I remember Kenneth Victor said, well, what the E stand for? And I couldn't answer. He said, is it Egbert? And we laughed because I would rather laugh than say what it was. But as I grew older, I remember being small and my mom used to come through. You would hear her humming. She's humming these same and she said, I don't know, but they just wake me up to anoint you. So I'll go be obedient and anoint you. She always anointed me. And as I got older, and I used to go to the Ebenezer Methodist Church, and I was in the youth group, the choir. In at a very young age, at age 17, I was asked to be a part of the Women's League, which I represented them in St. Lucia for the Women's League conference. I was the youngest person there. It was an awesome. I was just out of school, just finished school, and I used to go with them. My mother was very, I grew sheltered. So everywhere she was going, she would take me. So come go to the Women's League. And again, they need help. And I was just sing like a lark. I don't sing anymore. My voice just preached now, but I used to sing a lot. She said, we need help. And I went there and I was taking the notes and very into everything. And they asked if I can represent them. And it was an opportunity for me to travel for the first time out of Trinidad and Tobago. So I was happy to go. My mom sell her sugar cake and a fudge just to help with the funds. And I went, there was a lady, Miss Phillips from the Methodist Church in Mount St. George. I went in their company because no one else from the Methodist Church was going in Roxborough. And I did an awesome job bringing back the report. Bringing back the reports. But something changed my life there because worshiping in the Methodist Church, it was just going to church, you go home. I never knew that the other Methodist churches used to have more like a revival. It's you're clapping and something moved. And I came back and I said, I can't go to the Methodist church because what moved in me was an awakening of something greater, and it was not there. And then I got a call for baptism, and I told my father. But the rule in the house was, as long as you're under my roof, you would go to the church that everybody is going, even my mom. So she stayed home instead of going to the Methodist church until later on. And when the third time came and I was summoned for baptism, I said, Daddy, I've never disobeyed you, but I will have to disobey you and obey God because I have to go and get baptized.
Oh.
And I went. You know, I went with the blessings of my mom. She was there. He said, all right. And I'm telling you, when I came back the morning, because back then it's overnight, and they have you in the Lambeau Beach early that morning on the banks of Jordan. I was, went into the water, And when I came home, my father was waiting for me in tears. He said, you make up your mind. I lie down dreaming that I saw them put you in the water, and something like a blanket just washed down in the river. He said, you made up your mind. And from that day, I knew that there was a change in scene going on. But the name was still out there. She said, I don't know. We were just looking for a name. And that's the name I got. I hear call you that name. Make a long story short, when I came to the fullness and receiving the calling on my life as an evangelist, I said Jeremiah chapter 1 verse 5 was speaking over my life from before my parents even knew each other. He said, before I formed thee, in the womb I knew thee. Before, you came forth out of the womb, I had sanctified thee and ordained thee a prophet unto all nations. So my mother was being obedient even though she didn't know why and how. So I know that before I was placed in my mother's womb, this is where the path I had to go. But it was not easy. You don't just get into Jerusalem just like that.
Hello.
So I'm going to go back in my upbringing with school. I went to the Ebenezer Methodist School, as she said, right above the house there. And I had a teacher that I love with my whole heart, Teacher John Allen.
Hey.
He was an awesome teacher. And I was a very, very, very bright student. It was between me and Edward Thomas. First, second, and him and Miss Camille used to post, even Eddie is Lystra. And when he wants to start class, and I'm not there, he come to the back. Good morning, Mrs. Wright. Is Lystra coming to school today? She said, yes. Tell her to hurry up. I'm about to start.
Sister, Pastor Wendy saying that she never knew that your middle name was Evangelist.
Really? Yes. Yes, it is. Walking into my destiny.
And Princess Bascom, she knows Edward Thomas. She's saying Betsy Hope gets its name from a slave woman whose name was Betsy. She prayed and hoped for slavery to end, but she died before.
Thanks. Yes.
Thank you, Princess Bascom. But that's the knowledge that Lindy and Lystra have here right now.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Yes. Yes, so
you're talking about Teacher Allen.
Teacher, yes, John Allen, and he was a disciplinarian, but he could teach. And when he sees something good in you, I remember you when we do spelling or math, he used to reward you with a 5 cents. So, it's a competition to do the best you can. And I remember he gave us the word conscience.
Break that down. Tell them what a 5 cents mean. It's money. He used to pay you.
He used to pay you if you spell the word correctly or if you answer the math question. And I remember he gave us the word conscience to spell. And I was the only one that spelled it correctly. And there was an uproar in the class because the rest of the class broke it up in two. Sir, that is conscience. That's not conscience. And he said, well, Lystra got the 5 cents because she spelled it correctly. He loved his class. Teacher John Allen. You know, I could speak of others. You know, Teacher Dowling was in my time, disciplinarian, and you could be coming up the steps, but as long as you're not on that line, he got the belt to swat you because tardiness was one of the things that he stressed in school.
Teacher Dowling Alexander.
Dowling Alexander, yes. Yes. So we had a lot of wonderful teachers in Ebenezer, and I could say it with pride that Betsy's Hope had put out a lot of teachers. They went to Ebenezer and they came back and was teaching in Ebenezer, like Teacher Monica Anderson, Roll Anderson, Veronica Tate, Teacher Prunella, Teacher June Turner, you know, Seabrook, Harrison Seabrook. Yeah. Teacher Vernice Caruta. Yeah, she was in the school. So.
Oh, no, don't stop yet. Teacher Yolan Anderson with family.
Yes.
Avalon Sandy
right now.
Yeah.
She's a teacher. So everything said in the community.
With that daughter, she was teacher to Erica.
Erica, yes. Erica for Powder.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes. So Betsy's Hope was
I can name more.
We produce a lot.
Produce real teachers.
Real teachers. And they kept it in Betsy's Hope because they all came back to the Ebenezer school and they teach our children. And
from Roxborough, Cousin Alman have a daughter.
Velma.
Yes,
teacher Velma.
Yes. I could call more.
And Pennyman?
Yes, she's Roll.
All had that today. Yes. I sat down I woke up this morning, and when I started to see teachers from Ebenezer, I said, wow.
Yes.
Wow. And I heard something running through Betsy's Hope and in Pembroke. I heard the feet of horses.
Yeah.
I heard and felt the feet of horses running through Betsy's Hope and running through Pembroke. I know Roxborough had horses, and the horses used to come Argyle.
Yes.
But I tell you guys, I heard the feet of horses running through. I don't know if it is in our time or because of slavery or because of the British or because of the Dutch or French, but I heard the feet of horses.
Well, I would want to think because if they were gathering at the battery for the war, I would want to believe it's soldiers on horses.
Yes.
Yes, because when the war was going on, people like Mr. Horton, Joseph, Victor, Mr. Gussie Victor, and all these people, they fought, Mr. Frederick Brooks, they fought in the war, and they would tell you things of their experiences. So I would want to believe if those horses were coming through there, or maybe it could be from the slaves, because the slave plantation was up in Louis D'Or. There was an old house there where the slave master used to live with Miss Betsy, his wife. And the slaves were buried up in Louis D'Or, right around the old house there with all those mango trees. Those are slaves, the graves of slaves. So not far from where the war was being fought, there were slaves fighting for freedom. You know, they used to come down Battery Bay because they have them all over the place, you know, working the fields and to produce. So
I heard the feet running and running. You naturally felt the running. And I didn't feel it in no other place right now but Pembroke and Betsy's Hope.
Yes.
And I don't like to talk certain things. That's how I come and start to draw. Because if I tell people what I saw, people will believe I'm crazy. And my daughter will tell you, there was a time in my life I never dreamed people with refined faces or small noses or light skin. I only used to vision and see real black people. And my daughter said, Mommy, you're dreaming Africans, You're
Yeah.
dreaming ancestors. And I used to see, like if I go into work long ago in the Argyle Woods, I never go alone.
Yeah.
And I never walk behind. Because I will feel the presence of people. So then I will look around because like someone touched me. So I
Truly.
used to walk in the middle. Go ahead, sister.
I've experienced that too because I used to work in the forest in Wild Dog and place like that. And sometimes I'm going alone, and when I feel the presence, you know what was taking me besides I must have my Savior with me? I learned the 27th Psalm by heart. To walking when the other workers leave me and I have to go in. And when I feel the presence, I said, oh, all these people, you felt them. It was so real. And it was real. I would see the snakes and I would just stand by and let them pass. And then I continue my journey. And when I came upon a river where I had to cross alone,
Oh, you.
hallelujah. When I had to cross that river, the voice said, don't cross it. Wait till they come over. They will meet you on the other side. I never crossed it. The rest
Yeah.
of the workers came back and they met me.
Well, it's
So-
a river that gave us one morning with your uncle Texan, James Thomas.
Yes.
James Thomas, William Francis, Bull Sterling. He
Yes,
was
with
living
that.
in Argyle, Odette Baptiste, my
Yes.
brother Buddy, and myself. And we were going in around 3 a.m. into Wild Dog. I don't know why they was walking them roads because people
Access.
stopped doing gardening. But in those roads, we come through Kendall Farm School. And as we climbed the hill, the first road that leading left to go into the woods, right before you go up to the great house, we would
Yeah.
take that road.
Oh,
And suddenly while we walking, we had flambeau, bully Faye,
Bully Faye.
and we had torchlight, William Francis. And the first thing we felt was like somebody blocking.
Yeah.
So Texan say, come on, man, I believe in that too much a thing. And as we made the first footstep, I hear you ball out, but where is this? Then we heard the flashlight go vroom.
Out.
We heard the bully figure go vroom. William Francis light it back. My brother Buddy light back his. And all we hear again, vroom. Vroom. I said, oh, let me turn back. Texan said, we can't turn back. William Francis said, we will have to sit down. So we sat down and we waited until
Morning.
daylight. No one, because William Francis and them was so smart, they would walk with extra bulb to put in the flashlight. And you know what? We had was to sit there until daylight. And right before us was a river running. And Texan said, everybody, turn your back and cross this river.
Jesus.
Wow.
We couldn't cross the river by our face.
Nope.
We had was to turn our backs.
Wisdom.
That's the river.
To get
Yes.
to the side. My daughter is saying that was a good spirit.
Yeah.
Could I lick it up?
Spirits block you from danger.
Yes.
Whatever was there, whoever stopped us, because we got the answer, sit down.
Yeah.
And then when I get to know the scripture, sit down on my right hand until I make thine enemy.
Made my footstool.
We could not cross. We could not go further. And from that day I said, those woods, because you could walk from that side and end up right on Toko Road in Bell Garden. That's the distance we were going.
Wow.
We used to meet dashing patches and meet Teku, what they call the next thing. It like dashing. but they used to cut it and feed pigs. And even when you meet it, you will never see the root because crabs.
Don't eat
Eat
it
it.
out.
Yes, my daughter said, Edo no Edo, teku.
I know it's
Teiko
what.
is something
I
like
know it's which one.
Tanya.
Yeah,
but
like
it-
that.
yes.
Very big. And it has real scratch.
Yeah.
Yes.
It has
Yeah.
real
It
scratch.
is.
But you know, I see people out there in Asia cooking it.
No scratch.
It's not scratching them because they know how to cook it. They know
Okay.
how to use it. And my God, I hope I take this astray. My doctor said, no, it's not daikon. It grows just like Big Tanya. Big Tanya.
The leaves are very broad, like you could use
Broad.
an umbrella.
Umbrella. We used to use it as umbrella.
Yes, broad. Yeah, and it scratch a lot. You can't cook it.
Yeah.
You can't eat it, but they feed the pigs.
They feed pigs with it.
Yeah.
So continue, Mother Lystra there, Evangelist Lystra, right?
Let me just say one thing. I remember Daddy always talking about when he was courting Mommy in Argyle.
Yes.
And I mean, he have to go home, rain, storm. He cannot stay. But many times,
Tell them why. Tell them why your
because,
grandfather.
because your uncle was very strict, and no man is going to sleep in his house if you're not married.
And what
So
he told Mantosha, me see her hang out here, you know. They say rain come, look out there.
Right.
Leave before the rain because
Even before the rain come.
here tonight.
So even though rain come and he meet him, he still have to take his road. And Daddy will talk, and those days they wouldn't have any lights, street lights.
No.
And he talk about these same horses. When he's going, he hearing the horses galloping. But when he get close, sometimes he said no head. Somebody on it, but no head. And we will ask him, and Daddy you still used to go, you know, but he was looking for his wife, so head or no head, he would have gone. So as you talk about the horses, I always remember him talking about these horses coming down. You're hearing it, you're seeing, but on top of the horse, you see a frame, but no head. And I could just imagine.
But that's
what
right
that could
around
have
by
been.
your corner.
Right by
Sister
your corner.
That is right around your corner there from below Mr. Johnny Guitar there. The
Yes,
road-
when
yeah.
your ex-husband and them experience a horse, yes,
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
came a girl and hanging out with Buddy and them, or maybe girls, I don't know, because I know he always Buddy, yes, he going up to Roxborough and he had to turn back, he couldn't go home.
Yeah.
A horse, a big horse,
Yes.
and he bumped right into it. Dark like pitch, but it was a horse.
Yeah.
Nobody would know, he can't see no human on that horse.
Yeah. What
So
was
this
that?
going to open my eyes. I started hearing the footsteps. And then suddenly it dawned on me that is not only Betsy's up, Pembroke. So whatever happened to slaves in the country,
Yeah.
it was
Maybe-
very traumatic in Pembroke.
Yeah.
People can do the research. I hope my brother Jesse watching the show today and see if he could find out, because all the old people that have this story from Pembroke, they're
Yeah.
gone.
With it, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a cemetery there where they bury slaves. I know, maybe they hang them down in Pembroke because they used to hang them.
In between where Romel have his lands there to down on the beach. It's between there.
Yeah.
It's between there. There is some history.
Yeah.
Or running away to see if they could be free, trying to escape. You see, there's a lot that we were not told, and whatever we were told, a lot of pieces were missing. You know, so
The Caribbean slaves died very young, violently.
yeah.
So whatever happening around in Tobago, it remained there. So some of the, when you go and you say you're keeping heritage and you invoke, you have to know how to invoke and why. There's a danger with people using bells in Tobago.
True.
You ain't get the authority to use bell, you can't use bell. Not everybody could run up on a bell and ring that bell.
Hey,
But when you ring the bell, you are summoning
Summons.
things that are to rest.
Okay.
In Argyle, in Lamy Road, I want to talk hard. There's a property in Lamy Road that was given to some Indians to live on. Nothing against Indian. But when you go there, you can feel energy that you can't describe. They have copper that used to cook and boil the sugar cane. The foundation of the Massa house is still there in Kendall. You cross the river in Lamy and you swing left, and there we have grave and tombstone in Kendall, Lamy. So whether it's a white man buried there or our own foreparents, nobody knows.
Nobody knows. Big
the
history.
only graveyard that's Anglican without, the only church that we have as an Anglican church without a graveyard to show today is Roxborough Church.
Roxborough.
And when I was a little girl, we used to see graves leading up to the church. And before they built over the Anglican church.
Yes.
We used to jump over them banks. The first school I ever entered was Ebenezer Methodist.
Yeah,
I
we
was
used to play.
Methodist, hello.
We used to play on
hello.
hide between those banks, not realizing the the danger actually. In Betsy by the cemetery, we used to leave school and run down in the back, and sometimes we go up John Jackie. We used to call it John Jackie, and hide.
People used to see people up there.
Yeah.
Behind Ebenezer School.
Yes,
calling
they do.
children to come.
Yes.
Yeah.
Little things are hiding and calling.
Yeah. Teacher Dawn Cooks, they were living right there. No, they were living right next to the cemetery.
In the cemetery.
In the cemetery, Miss Warden. And Dawn, I think she raised Dawn. They were living in the cemetery, and sometimes Dawn will go Trinidad by her mom, and Daddy will send Lystra and I up there to sleep in the cemetery with Miss Warden. But many times you cannot sleep because you're in the cemetery. And you hear everything. You're hearing frog, you're hearing dog, you're hearing everything.
She was listening for everything.
I never slept one time I go up inside. And I said, Daddy, you're wicked. Why we have to go up in there to sleep with her? She choose to live up there. She should be able to sleep by herself. But even though I'm saying that you have to go, because when they tell you go up and sleep, you have to go.
Company.
You have to keep her company. But we wonder now how these people made in the cemetery their home. Because it was I went back home and I was actually looking up there. I mean, there's no longer a structure there. But I was just looking at how in the cemetery that house was.
Yes.
And she was living there. And sometimes she used to go in late. What we will call late because of the street lights and all this. Sometimes 6 o'clock is late. Back in the days, 7 o'clock. But she will be outside late, and she and Dawn, she holding Dawn's hand, and they going up inside there. And even Dawn, when she was growing, she was a teacher too. She will in turn go up inside there late too. I'm like, Teacher John, you're not afraid, you're not scared. But it was the norm for her.
Princess Bascom is asking you guys about the silk cotton tree up behind there.
That big silk cotton tree.
That is the scariest thing in the cemetery. I think they should do something about it. They're trying to cut down some of the limbs, but it's so massive, spread right through. The root is all over the place. So I don't know what they're gonna do and how they're gonna do it, but it's really neat. It's scary. But yes, it's scary.
Painted bill seats around it to do something. But it's really scary when you pass, you see the dead is great fertilizer.
Yes.
For the tree. That's why the tree is so like a tree. The rivers of water that bring it, but it's not bringing forth any fruit.
It's just flourishing like a big green bay tree, just spreading itself out. But it needs to be trimmed, and the graves should be molded. And I think they should put tombstones and every headstones so you know whose grave it is. And let me back up somehow, because we may call some things negromancy or they are not real. But I remember we used to tie the goats in the cemetery. I don't know to eat what. And those kids used to wait till late to go bring them in. And this night, Derek forgot to bring in the goat and the sheep. And Daddy said, you go in and get them tonight. I don't care. You go in and get them. Oswald, my ex, was there. And he said, let me follow you. But he followed him around the road, but he did not go in the cemetery with him.
Oh, boy.
And that boy had to unloose those goats and run, and, you know. And Daddy lied down dreaming that Mr. Horton Joseph, our neighbor, warned him. He said, don't ever send him in there again. Them hours. He said he stepped on my neighbor's grave and he was angry.
And I had to beg for him.
I had to beg for him. My father woke up. He said, I nearly get my child killed. I don't know. I can't doubt it because my father don't have to get up and lie about that. He said, I almost killed my child. Sending him in there that hour of the night to get his goat and his sheep. So the cemeteries need some good work to
Good reconstruction.
But I get a lot of young people today, they are not afraid. They have garages, they're cooking and eating and drinking right by the cemetery there. But I just think it needs some nice flowers planting up, fix the headstones, trim the silk cotton tree, cutlass all the way where Miss Wharton used to live, and make it presentable that people wouldn't be afraid, or it would be recognized as this is the Ebenezer Methodist Cemetery.
I kept alive some about a year or two ago where I talk about putting lights in the cemetery, clean up bed, because I got the message that Ebenezer Methodist Cemetery is supposed to be part of our landmark of our ancestors. Yes, Betsy's home. I bring that. I have a live that I kept that had real viewership talking about Betsy's home cemetery. So, Mother Lystra, we're gonna segue from there a little, although we have a lot to talk about. Miss Olga Batiste, who was the first woman that the Prime Minister Eric Williams come to her house.
Yes.
You can speak of that.
Yeah.
Yes, being the first woman counselor, he came to our house to do an inauguration with, Mr. Melvin, Mr. Bishop, and Cynthia Alfred and the others to swear her in right in front of in her house, and she has his picture and hers, and that was her show for everyone that come there. He came to my house, and when you look at it, politics then and now, everybody was on the same page. They were human. Let me just put it that way. He didn't see himself too big to come there. And she started the Betsy's Hope Village Council. After that, she started it underneath her house. And she called the whole community together, old and young. And she started this mission. This is what we're going to do. Mr. James, Mr. Hart, everybody was involved. Mm-hmm. And Nolly Adams and Gurney, she wanted to do everything, let's start this. And while they're doing that, they used to have nights where elders would have fun and games in the downstairs while children outside playing. So it was a community getting together so nobody wouldn't feel left out or feel alone. They would cook, eat, and drink, and they have a game they used to play with a ring and a string. And you're pushing it around, but you don't know whose hand is it in. But you got to guess. And sometimes the ring gone, but you see somebody hold on. But it used to be fun for them, and it kept everybody together. And the daycare started underneath her house too, just the same. Miss Erlene Holder was one of the first pre-K teachers that she had. Miss Philomene Holder, daughter, which is Miss Belida's sister.
Yes.
Irma aunt.
Yes.
Irma, my god sister aunt.
Yeah,
she was
you have an uncle that belonged to Miss Philo or more than one child.
Uncle Errol and Cardinal.
So
deceased.
So my uncle was a hound in Betsy's home.
Yeah.
Yes, our grandfather was. Yes, and she started all these things downstairs her house, and she mobilized everybody and began to build the center. She was so determined and driven. I don't think much accolades were given to her for all that she did. and when they were almost finished.
That is Sister Olga Batiste.
Yes, Olga Batiste. They built a center and they got some help, Miss Sawyer, Miss Alfred, and all the others to help them complete it. And there the Prime Minister came again to cut the ribbon for that center.
So this is not the first center I know, but I would want the public to know that the center that we're gloating over and carrying on over and claiming that politicians give, that's not Betsy's Hope First Center.
No. Betsy's Hope Center was started from the foundation with its members. When the City Saturday come, the woman making, the cooking, the baking bread, they're taking the juices, while the men, they come together, mixing the concrete. We was kids, we were carrying blocks because the center belonged to everybody in Betsy's Hope.
So you have people like Miss Margaret Jack, Miss Philomena, all these, name them.
Yes, Miss Clayton, Sister Ellen Davidson.